So after Malayan Union, um, British decided to go on with Persekutuan Tanah Melayu. And to create this persekutuan, they have to sign an agreement first. But to decide on what should be in the agreement, not agreement, this perjanjian, yeah, agreement lah. So to decide what will be this perjanjian, they had to create a committee, which is named Jawatan Kuasa Kerja. So Jawatan Kuasa Kerja comprised of 3 sides: British, UMNO, and Raja Melayu. And you don't have to know the names, but you have to know that there are 3 sides lor. And then their suggestions are: number 1, to menyatukan semua negeri Melayu dalam satu pentadbiran dan 2 buah negeri-negeri selat. Combine not combine, to unite all of the states together except for Singapore. Number 2 is to protect the rights of protect the power of Raja Melayu. Number 3, not protect, recover, sorry. Number 3 is to protect the rights, the special rights of orang Melayu, and the human rights of not human rights, the basic rights of other kaum. Number 4 is to create the Dewan Perundangan Negeri, which is basically parliament, and not parliament lah, DUN. And then number 5 is mengenakan syarat kewarganegaraan yang ketat. So some people weren't so happy with this because it was because only UMNO was involved. So they left a lot of parties out, including PKMM, API, Geram, Batas, Hizbul Muslimin, and Awas. So all of these together made up Putra. And Putra is basically a combination, a coalition of these parties to create another rule called Perlembagaan Rakyat. And then PMFTU, MDU, and MIC combined together to make AMCJA. And AMCJA had a similar reason, but PMFTU but these parties were more towards other races like Indians and Chinese. So they argued that this is not a very democratic thing to do because UMNO is a Malay group, and other races do not have a word in what to accept and what not to accept in this perjanjian. So it's not very democratic, so they also went against this perjanjian. These two combined together to make Putra AMCJA. But then kan these people, even though they aren't so aggressive like PKM, they are still called radicalists. They are still called a nationalist radical because they are not supporting British. They are against the British people. So what they actually did was they were fighting for these rights. They were fighting for everyone's rights, and they also were fighting for freedom of speech, because back then British always like closed down these shops, you know. I mean, not shops. They always closed down these parties that are going against British. So Ahmed Bostamam in particular, he's part of Putra. He created Suara Rakyat to spread more of these ideologies, these things, to spreading awareness on how people should be fighting for independence to the people, to the Rakyat, and they actually accepted this. They actually are okay with this. It's not like communism. But again, because they are against British, they are radicalists. So Putra and AMCJA came together to make an agreement called Perlembagaan Rakyat. Putra's suggestions were regarding BM, outside matters, citizenship, and some things like the flag and song, the national anthem. While AMCJA is regarding Singapore, kerajaan pusat, Raja Perlembagaan, orang Melayu punya kemajuan, ada istiadat agama Islam, and syarat kewarganegaraan. So when you combine together, you get number 1, Tanah Melayu in Singapore. Number 2, penubuhan Dewan Perundangan Pusat. Number 3, kewarganegaraan yang sama bagi semua orang yang menganggap Tanah Melayu sebagai tempat tinggal yang tetap dan sanggup mencurahkan kesetaraan tanpa berbelah bahagi. Number 4, Raja Melayu sebagai Raja Perlembagaan. Number 5, hal ehwal agama Islam dan adat istiadat Melayu diketuai sepenuhnya oleh orang Melayu. Number 6, perhatian khas diberikan kepada kemajuan politik dan ekonomi orang Melayu. Number 7, bahasa Melayu menjadi bahasa kebangsaan dan rasmi yang tunggal. 8. Hal ehwal luar negeri dan pertahanan adalah menjadi tanggungjawab bersama kerajaan Melayu dan British. 9. Kewargaan negaraan Melaya dinamakan Melayu. And number 10, warna merah dan putih haruslah dimasukkan sebagai latar belakang bendera kebangsaan dan tanah Melayu. So some of these were actually included, like the flag color and also this Dewan Perundangan Pusat, it became parliament. However, you see here that this kewarganegaraan yang sama and this Melaya thing are a bit too much for UMNO. Because remember, we want to UMNO focuses on preserving the special rights of orang Melayu. But this kewarganegaraan yang sama is a bit is a bit more against that, you can say. I mean, anyone can say that they are part of orang tanah Melayu and become a citizen immediately. So this is a bit too lenient, you can say, for kewarganegaraan. And naming everyone Melayu is also pretty weird because people who are part of like Kesultanan Melayu Melaka and so on, they're Malays, right? Orang Melayu. We know them as Malays today. So calling Malays, Chinese, and Indians Melayu are pretty weird. Like now we're called Malaysians, right? Which is fine, which is a really good name. But calling all of us Malays, that will seem odd back then, and it will seem odd very now. Because our country is not like Indonesia. Indonesia is a bit more different, where everyone can become Indonesian. But for us, we have our own races, but we're all Malaysian. But naming everyone Malays, even though there's already a race called Malay, is weird for UMNO and British. So they rejected it, and because they rejected it, Putra AMCJA were not very happy, and they made a hartal. I mean, they decided to organize a hartal. Hartal means boycott. They is basically not boycott lah. I forgot what it's called. A strike. It's a strike. So if you know what a strike is, it's basically when you don't go to work, you close your shops. You basically don't do anything to help with the economy, and you want to do this because you want to create a voice to tell the people that you are not agreeing with something. So in this case, Putra AMCJA had a hartal to show that they do not agree with this decision, and there are 2 dates, September and October 20. So why did they do this Persekutuan Tanah Melayu? Firstly, obviously a lot of people were not very happy with Malayan Union. Governments and civilians already came to Tanah Melayu to see how the things go, how the situation is, and they found out that it's not really good. And if they were to continue with Malayan Union, things will get even worse. And they reported this to Parliament in Britain, and in the end, British decided to create this PTM, and then after that, before they decided to do this, they had a meeting with Raja Melayu and UMNO to decide on what they should be on how they should be going with this new what's it called again? New rule, I guess you can say. Like after they decided to not continue with Malayan Union, how do they go with this new territory? I mean, how do they go with the new rules? How do they make this Persekutuan Tanah Melayu? So this is where Raja Melayu had to give their suggestions. So firstly, they don't want to become a colony. They want to become a protected territory. Number 2 is a new agreement, which is PTM. Number 3 is Raja berkuasa dengan perundangan. So the Raja have like more power. And perkataan negeri Melayu perlu muncul dalam persekutuan yang baharu. This might not seem that important, but this shows that they are a persekutuan, not a kesatuan. Kesatuan means union. All of them are under one entity, like completely under one entity. They are all under the same government. However, for persekutuan, even though they're all under the same government, each state has their own government as well. So it's like a state government and a national government, so a federal government. So that is persekutuan. And this negeri Melayu is a way to show that there are multiple states in this persekutuan. I mean, that's how I interpret it lah, I guess. So Sultan Perak said that Sultan Perak told Sir Edward Gen that they should agree with this before they proceed any further with discussions. They will only accept this PTM if all of these are inside. So yeah. And then some British politicians also supported this, like Sir Edward Gent, Malcolm MacDonald, Sir Ralph Home, Aldi Gammons, and some other people. And they agreed with this because, firstly, um, if they were to proceed with this, then they will not have a stable economy, a stable country, a stable territory. So the economy will not be very good. And British wants to reap the economic benefits from Tanah Melayu. They came to Tanah Melayu to get money from them, to get some to develop their economy, to gain their profits. But if they were to continue on with Malayan Union, they will not get any profits because the country will be unstable. So so because of this, they went on with this, and when you have a more stable territory, investors from other countries will be more likely to come in and invest in the country. So that's this point here. Again, this is my brother's recommendation. I don't know what he watches. Yeah, I don't think there's any much else to mention this in here. Oh, is this part? I mean, this point also. British. This after World War II, and all of the big countries like British, America, and so on, they agreed to give independence to their territories. They don't want to rule the whole world anymore. So, keeping Tanah Melayu for why? I mean, like, why not give Tanah Melayu people an opportunity to learn how to rule a government if you want to keep Malayan Union? I mean, like, if you're keeping Malayan Union, you are not helping the people to gain independence. You don't want to give the independence yet, because you still want to have control over them for a while. But you want to but you also want to you also want to eventually get the independence. So this PTM is like a way for the Orang Melayu to be involved in politics, but also for the British to still keep control over them. So what are the ciri-ciri? Firstly is pentadbiran. So in the aspect of pentadbiran, this one is obvious lah. 9 states and 2 NNS. Singapore is still a separate territory, and then Kerajaan Persekutuan is led by Pesuruhjaya Tinggi British, and then PTB, and then the kerajaan is responsible for financial stuff and also other stuff that involve the country's needs, the territory's needs. Sorry, not country. And then Majlis Mesyuarat Persekutuan and Majlis Perundangan Persekutuan are created to assist the Pesuruhjaya Tinggi. For Majlis Mesyuarat, there are 2 members, Ahli Rasmi and Ahli Tidak Rasmi. Ahli Tidak Rasmi was chosen by PTB, and Ahli Majlis Perundangan Persekutuan is made out of multiple races to preserve the identity of the country lah, because you don't want to leave any other race behind, right? And then next, there is going to be a Majlis Raja Raja, which is meant for the Raja Melayu to give their own point of view on certain things. And then the Sultan are able to agree on certain laws in their own states through Dewan Perundangan Negeri, which is basically Dunla now. And then for Perundangan, this MPP, Majlis Perundangan Persekutuan, is led by Pesuruhjaya Tinggi, and they discuss on certain laws regarding outside matters and also public stuff, kehakiman, trading. Basically, any country matters, any territorial matters will go through Majlis Perundangan, and they will like pass a law they will like decide to make a law to help with certain things. But before the law becomes accepted, they need to go through Majlis Raja Raja first, and all of the Raja will need to agree with it for the law to be passed. Lastly is kewarganegaraan. So there are 2 types, kuasa undang-undang and pendaftaran. So jus soli is only for British, rakyat British and rakyat Raja. Rakyat Raja is people who are born in sultan countries like Terengganu, and they have to be Malay or orang asli. Rakyat British are people who are born in Malacca or Pulau Pinang or any other British colony like Singapore, and yeah, they just born there lah. So if you are not from from Tanah Melayu, but you are born in Malacca, you become orang Melayu, you become a Malayan. But if you are not someone from Tanah Melayu and your parents are not either, and you are born in Terengganu, you will not be a citizen yet. So unless your father is what is a rakyat of is a rakyat raja, rakyat British. If your father is a citizen, you become one as well. Or if you are a rakyat raja, like if you are not a citizen, like you are born in Terengganu, but you are if you are born in Terengganu but you are not a citizen yet, however you've already been living here for a long time and you're already naturalized, you're already like you're basically a Malayan already lah, but you're not officially one yet, you haven't applied yet. If you are already naturalized, you can apply. And the main rules is, number one, you have to be here for at least 15 years, and number two is 15 of the last 20 years, and number two, you must not be a criminal. So what are the effects? Number one, Raja Melayu get your powers back. Number two, orang Melayu have their rights. Wait, I'm gonna go more on Raja Melayu. So this Raja is a way to ensure that the Raja Melayu do not completely control a country, but they do decide on certain laws that can be accepted. Like they do not run the country. It's not an absolute monarchy, but it's not like Raja does everything, but the Raja still have an impact in the system, in the kerajaan, because without them you cannot pass the law. And yeah, it says here, Pesuruhjaya Tinggi memastikan bahawa Raja perlu dirujuk. So the Pesuruhjaya Tinggi has to make sure that the Raja always is involved in these matters. They need to talk to the Raja first before they can pass any law. So next is menjaga kedudukan istimewa orang Melayu, and then menjaga kepentingan sah kaum lain, and then allow more citizenship, like allow more people to become citizens, and then mewujudkan kerjasama kaum. So there's like more cooperation between multiple races. So firstly they made CLC, because after PTM there was this committee called Jawatan Kuasa Hubungan Antara Kaum, or CLC, and then CLC was comprised of multiple races, and then because of all the races working together, it creates a more harmonious atmosphere. And yeah, basically all of the races understand each other more after CLC was made, because if you remember, British what British didn't really help in uniting the races together, but CLC helped with that. And then PTM was a stepping stone. PTM was a stepping stone PTM was a stepping stone for Perlembagaan Persekutuan Tanah Melayu. There's a persekutuan here, I think. So the difference between PTM 1948 and PTM 1957 is, in 1957 they were independent. In 1948 they were still under British. So this BTM 1948 helped bring Tanah Melayu to independence. Like it's like a step